Hello all. In this video, I'm going to give you a very high-level overview of what artificial life is all about. I probably will get certain details wrong. If you're an expert in artificial life, then you can certainly correct me. But this is just a starting point for my intro to AI students, just so you get a sense of what this field can entail, and we'll talk a little bit about what we're going to do with it. For the most part, we're using it as a way of checking at the more interesting aspects of reflex agents. So, what are the ways in which interesting behaviors emerge from very, very simple agents? All right, so what is artificial life? So, this is a field that lies at the boundaries of artificial intelligence. I feel it fits within AI very nicely, but it also is often crossing over into other disciplines. So, you could see people who work in artificial life being interested in biology or psychology or animal behavior. Maybe even people who are interested in social systems could be also considered to be doing a form of artificial life. So the goal of artificial life is to simulate real life forms, and our purpose in doing so is to explore multi-agent interactions for fairly simple agents, to explore natural selection and how that might work in a controlled and simulated environment. We can also think of it as just a tool for doing optimization, for doing computer graphics in movies or games, um, or for otherwise exploring systems, environments, and agents as they exist within them, and the emergent behaviors that come from the interactions among the agents in a system. So, simulating real life forms. There are people who work within artificial life who are very serious about this. They insist on trying their best to accurately model in a simulated form some aspects of real life animals because they're interested in being able to learn more about those animals' behavior. And if you don't accurately simulate them, then you might make mistakes. They have theories about the behavior of animals or plants or fungi, and they want to explore those in a simulated realm. There are also people who are interested in more broad questions of behavior, uh, where they might not be so focused on simulating exactly and accurately real world creatures, plants or animals or fungi, but they are actually interested in agents that interact with their environments in certain ways, and how you can use that to learn more about systems as a whole. Natural selection. There are a lot of artificial life projects that involve evolving agents. It's a very interesting component. It's certainly not everything that you need to do. There are lots of artificial life simulations that are not involving evolution, but that is a piece to look at how the pressures of an environment might impact how agents evolve over time. Or just looking to see how good an agent you can evolve for a particular environment and place. Ant colony optimization is a whole field of itself that's kind of peeling off of artificial intelligence. It uses notions from beehives and ant colonies as an actual tool for optimization. So there are ant colony optimization algorithms that are used for routing packets on the internet. And CGI, if you want to have CGI elements, animals or people, characters, and you want them to behave in interesting ways and more realistic ways, then artificial life can be a way to get that effect. So, AI systems that model biological systems or social systems are considered artificial life. They might incorporate structures from biology, swarming, ecosystems, evolution, as I've mentioned before. They are exploring the nature of life and living systems by simulating the underlying biological principles. So these are all sort of different perspectives on what artificial life is all about. I have a couple of resources here. This first one is a broad introduction to artificial life, different than the assigned reading, but it has a lot of really good materials on it about different things that might count as artificial life, from these art strand beasts, this art project, to simulations of swimming, uh, to cellular automata, and everything in between. So there's a broad range of different things that fit within artificial life. The earliest work in artificial life was in cellular automata. So Conway's Game of Life is often pointed to as a very, very simple early example of artificial life. So Conway's Game of Life, you have a grid, and in each cell of the grid is a little agent, and that agent decides whether it's alive or dead, activated or not activated, based on how many neighbors it has at the previous time step. And what happens is that interesting patterns occur where a neighborhood can go through a fixed series of forms that just cycle forever. You can have little structures that end up moving in the space. There's just a lot of really interesting emergent behavior that happens within just this very, very simple structure. So Conway's Game of Life was an early thing. Lots of people have extended that work with cellular automata in very, very interesting ways, including using genetic algorithms and genetic programming. There is, as I said, a strong emphasis on evolutionary processes. I assigned you to read this paper by Sipper. I feel like the paper kind of overstates this because I feel like there's lots of work that would count as artificial life that's not particularly focused on evolution. But evolutionary processes are an interesting and important piece. So it's a powerful tool. We're going to talk about it eventually. We're not going to do that in this first unit, but we will talk about simulating natural selection in the form of genetic algorithms. One of the key ideas for artificial life is this idea of emergent behavior, because you can, when you have birds flocking, when you have beehives swarming, they are behaving and reacting to each other, very simple agents, and out of that comes really complex structures and really complex behaviors. It's really interesting to look at those in the real world and then try to simulate them in an artificial life world. We are also going to look at a couple of other sources. So Valentin Breitenberg wrote a famous book called Vehicles that was looking at individual agent behavior, but how simple structures inside, simple decision structures, can lead to behaviors that we see as more complex than maybe they actually are. We're going to play around with that a little bit as we move forward. And Rodney Brooks is a roboticist who also looked at similar ideas in the realm of robotics and robot control. There are some nice simulators out there. So this list probably needs to be updated. NetLogo is not really aimed at artificial life, but it is aimed at multi-agent simulations, and you can use it for artificial life. So we will be using that tool in class. There's an old virtual world simulator called Tierra, which is still out there. There is the Canvas A-Life simulator from Stanford. And I don't know if this is still there, but there was a game on Steam called Species, which really was an artificial life simulator that we could play as a game. So this has been a short introduction to artificial life as we are going to view it. It's a really interesting field. It's very interdisciplinary. There are a lot of people who work at this nice cusp between the computational and the real world. And if that's something that's of interest to you, then you should explore it further. I will see you very soon.